Hello everyone, welcome to Home of Politics. Ladies and gentlemen, we are aware about the story of Finance Act 2023, and it had a mixed reaction where those people who are affiliated with the government supported this Finance Act 100%, especially the senators, the MPs, the governors, those people who are in government supported this bill so much because it was tabled by President William Samoei Ruto. While on the other side, the opposition and other Kenyans, normal citizens, just were against it because they felt the burden that is being imposed to Kenyans, it is very high comparing now to the standard of living. People are struggling so much to live and do not have enough source of income. Now it have brought a lot of fight, and to the extent which some of the petitioners filed petition in court. It have been gone to several stages until now. We see this act has just been passed and the court has ruled it out. Of course, we know that the promises that President William Samoei Ruto gave to Kenyans about the food prices, the living standard, the job opportunities, the fuel cost, employment, education, everything would source fund from this Finance Act 2023. And by any chance, the government of President William Samoei Ruto and his supporters could not afford to lose this Finance Act by any means, because where could they find the sources from? Where will they find the fund to run the government? Now that we see they are looking forward to source so many trillions of tax to run this government within only a period of 1 year. Now that the budget was read, you all had the things and the items that have been planned by this government. They all focus on acquiring the revenue to run this government from this Finance Act. Ladies and gentlemen, the president knew very well that the Finance Act will pass. Sorry, the Finance Act will pass, but he only gave it a matter of time, because now that he is the person who brought this Finance Act bill on table, he expected 100% support from his MPs, from his senators, and from his delegates who are confined within Kenya Kwanza government. And of course, he was given 100% support. No even a single one vote against this finance bill. And after this finance bill has been petitioned in court and it was suspended, the president did not want to argue or to act immediately to force this Finance Act to pass, but he only knew he is calculating and strategizing it. With a few time, he will win it. And before I take you through the procedures that this bill have been passed until they have won it, if you are here for the first time, please subscribe and share my videos widely, and also turn on the notification button. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if we can critically analyze and understand this issue of the finance bill, we see it is something that it was not received or accepted by a big percentage of people in Kenya. But unfortunately enough, as we speak right now, this bill has won, and it will never be suspended. Now they are looking forward to the time when it will start its operations. And how did the president and his government achieve to win this Finance Act despite being denied by so many people, being taken to court, and also assuming that people are not having the issues of cost of living in Kenya? How did they manage? The first strategy, we can compare the dates when this bill had been brought up. And if we can trace the date when the finance bill was published, it was published on 28th April 2023, this year. And after it was published, the people of Kenya Kwanza government were already aware of what is going to happen and how they are going to tackle it. After that, it was tabled to the parliament for debate. That is the first reading. It was tabled on first reading. That one was on 4th May 2023. This first reading, the parliament just received this bill. It read to the members of parliament who were present. People gave they just listened. And after there, the whole procedures from the first reading, second reading, up to the signing of the president for it to become a law passed in the parliament. And that is when we see all the UDA and Kenya Kwanza MPs, all of them voted yes for this bill to pass. And while other side of the Azimio la Umoja or the minority voted no, except one of them who went against it and voted yes with the government people. And after there we see how did this reaction of MPs and the public at large led to the implementation or disqualification of this act. We see after that, if you can compare the dates, on 2nd June 2023, this is when the first petition was filed by Senator Okiya Omtata from Busia. This senator is also from the opposition, and he was not pleasant with this finance bill at all. He went forward, he filed the petition in the High Court. From there, he was also backed up by the humanitarian body and other petitioners. In total, they were 4, and they went ahead to stop this operation of this finance act, now that it had been signed by the president. After there, it was received in court, and it was reacted with high hope, giving Kenyans hope that this bill will not be passed and will not be implemented at all, because when it was received, the next step was this bill was suspended. It did not operate starting from, it was suspended on 10th of July 2023, and from there things have been so cool, so silent. Nobody is speaking again about the finance bill. And the next step we see is the transferring of the lady justice who froze the finance bill 2023 in court. And this magistrate is called her name is Thande, and she was transferred from High Court, Milimani High Court, to Malindi High Court, whereby she was the one who was acting as an obstacle in the passing and implementation of the Finance Act. And now that he was transferred, it means that Okiya Omtata with other petitioners were helpless and could not be supported maybe fully with the other judges. And therefore, this was another strategy just to make the petitioners and other people who felt uncomfortable with this Finance Act to lose, while the government will pass it and successfully achieve what they had intended to achieve. After there, we see the exact date when this the magistrate was transferred was on date 8 August 2023. And immediately after that, we see the opposition side, Azimio la Umoja, led by their own brigade, felt so bad because they were the people who were having support behind this judge before she was transferred. That is when we see there were some things to do with forcing the talk and forcing the government to act on the agendas and the grievances that the opposition is having. And within that period of time, that is when we see the bipartisan talk was scheduled, was planned. The both sides gave their own agendas, recruited their team whom will represent them, team leaders, and were very, very much prepared to tackle these issues through the bipartisan talk. And we see the first bipartisan meeting was held on 14th August 2023. This is after that judge was transferred to Malindi from Milimani, and this the strength of this affected the strength of this finance bill so much, because it directly affected it. Now that we know the agendas from the Azimio la Umoja side, the first one was cost of living. That was the biggest one and the first to be prioritized, measuring on the fact that Kenyans right now are struggling for food, meeting the ends, and we see cost of living now that food were very expensive. Then this was the first one, and the cost of living was directly affected by the Finance Act 2023, and it is just this issue of Finance Act that made this agenda to be included in the bipartisan talk agendas. Ladies and gentlemen, we see up to now, from the time when the bipartisan talk started in August, there have been so many things that have delayed the enactment and finalization of this bipartisan talk. We know that the bipartisan talk had been postponed to be held almost 3 to 2 times, and this was just buying time, at least to push things to go forward. And it was buying time because they were calculating the time when the court will make the final rule of this Finance Act 2023 and the final agreement of bipartisan talk. So they were just calculating on this. And up to that, we see also the Senate and the Parliament were to have a debate to do what? To approve the National Dialogue Committee, of which it happened late last month. And up to now, we see on 1st September 2023, the National Dialogue Committee had their first meeting after being approved by Parliament and Senate. And something that is very, very critical here is that the issues of agreement to be prioritized by this dialogue is not even focused on the bipartisan talks first agenda of cost of living from the opposition side. The first that they decided to prioritize, it is the electoral or IEBC reconstruction, and we also have auditing of the 2022 general elections. These are matters to do with electoral or IBC justice from both Azimio la Umoja and Kenya Kwanza coalition. My good people, we see if they have decided to prioritize the issues to do with IEBC, yet on the other side they were insisting that the food prices, the cost of living should be the first one. Then here the Kenya Kwanza government decided to twist the Azimio side so that they can leave aside, or they can postpone discussing about the cost of living as the main issue that is directly linked to the Finance Bill 2023, and decided to prioritize the IEBC agendas. Here it is just but buying time, because we see, if we can just review how they decided, we can see the first issue to be discussed was the reconstitutioning of the IEBC, auditing of the 2022 general elections. It will be followed by boundary delimitation to bring balance in different counties. That one is also an issue to do with IEBC. And we also see the things to do with the high cost of living, the gender role that is being called as pending constitutional matters. It is not even prioritized as the first agendas to be discussed. Then the other issue The final ones will be interference with the political parties, whereby the opposition wanted these people to respect the internal affairs of their political parties. My good people, we see if the discussion has been prioritized to discuss about the issue of IEBC and auditing of 2022 general elections, then we see that the issue of high cost of living goes hand in hand with the Finance Act 2023. And now that they decided to postpone the discussion of high cost of living until today on date 8, when the court has just given its decision on the Finance Act, then the Kenya Kwanza government has scored it. They have won it, because if just in case the discussion of the cost of living could come first in their agenda, or being prioritized in their discussion, that one was earlier enough before the court ruling had not been made, then in one way or another, the petitioners and the Azimio la Umoja team could have a lot of energy to push forward in the suspension of the Finance Bill 2023. And for that reason, it is just evident that the ruling of the court has been made, because it have dismissed, it have declined to lift the suspension of the Finance Act, which had been brought by that judge who had been transferred, Mugure, and it has just left these petitioners that way. They have not considered anything to do with them, because they claim that they were out of time during the filing of these cases, and that makes it useless, because the time when these cases was brought to the court, and the time when the Finance Act had been passed in the parliament, there is a big interval of time, and this is the only thing that has disqualified the petition. And according to my analysis and how I have understood this ruling of the court, it have just ruled the way the president and the government wanted, because at last they have not discussed the cost of living. And it is very sure that when they could have prioritized cost of living as a number one agenda to be discussed during bipartisan talk or the National Dialogue Committee, then it could directly interfere with the court ruling of passing or suspending this Finance Act 2023. And because of this strategy, they just decided to bring the issue of IEBC to be the first priority, then scheduling the cost of living and other constitutional matters to be the last one in the list to be discussed. So here, the people who have been opposing the Finance Act, they have just lost it, because even if they will discuss matters to do with the cost of living, yet the Finance Act has already been passed. It will soon be a law, and it will start acting immediately, because they claim that they have lost so many revenue. The tax could have been collected from the time when it was approved up to now. It could be billions of money, and they have not been able to collect it. So it means that it will be effective very soon. And this is the time when the National Dialogue Committee will be discussing this cost of living. And it will be relevant, because even if they will be discussing the cost of living, yet the Finance Act bill has been passed and it is working, it is under operation, then it means that the changes to adjust or to make the lives of Kenyans better, or to improve the cost of living, it will be very minimal, because the act at the same time is imposing a lot of burdens to Kenyans, and on the other side they want to reduce the burden. How is that possible? Yet the act is already under operation. And for this issue, it is just a matter of time and the government calculated it very, very keenly, because they knew if they bring immediate resistance that they don't want bipartisan talk, what it could have brought a lot of dramas. They just gave in, tabled dates, continue pushing it forward, until the time when the court ruling have been made today. And this has 100% given them a chance, at least to know how they will tackle the agenda of cost of living come the next meeting, when they have arrived to discuss that agenda. And it could be so important if the opposition side could just maintain on their list to insist that the cost of living should be agenda number 1. At least this could have saved the court's decision of suspending the petition of Okiya Omtata and other 3 petitioners. Ladies and gentlemen, that is how the Kenya Kwanza government have managed to at least to score the issue of Finance Act. I don't know what they will discuss when it comes to the agenda of cost of living, because the big issue here, it is already out of hand. They cannot control it now that a ruling has been made. Or is there any other alternative way that the cost of living can at least be improved, apart from using or suspending the Finance Act 2023, now that things are out of hand? How will this National Dialogue Committee convince us that the government is going to work hard to improve the cost of living in Kenya? How are they going to convince us? How? Channel your ideas in the comment section, and thank you so much for watching my video. Have a good day.